What's up guys, it's Vase Take. Make sure you like, subscribe, and leave movie recommendations down in the comments below. So I'm going to have a timestamp because there is a few things that I want to say not regarding the TV show. First, I want to say thank you to 200 subscribers. Literally a month ago, I was at like 52, and so my channel has been getting a lot of traction, and there's a lot of you guys is resonating with me enough to want to subscribe. So I am so excited about having 200 subscribers, and I plan on grinding even harder now since YouTube plans on implementing 8,000 watch hours in February. So you guys are going to be seeing a lot more of me. Today's video is really important to me because it is the first TV show that I plan on covering. The Shards is still ongoing, and the first 2 episodes was just released. I do believe that 2 episodes come out each week, and I will be covering them each week or so, give or take, because I do plan on also covering movies too. So yeah, I'm gonna be grinding. And the truth is, I was not planning on talking. Oh my god, there's like gnats all over. It's summertime, you might see gnats flying on the camera. I'm sorry about that, but anyways, I was not planning on talking about a TV show anytime soon. But once I had found out Ryan Murphy and Bret Easton Ellis was coming together to make the Shards, there was just no way I was not going to watch it. Bret Easton Ellis made one of the most notorious books I know called American Psycho, which is extremely disturbing, depraved, but one of the best literature I've read. I did watch the movie and covered it on my channel. You can find it in my disturbing playlist. And also Ryan Murphy, I'm pretty sure we've all seen at least one of Ryan Murphy's shows. You have Glee, American Horror Story, Nip Tuck, Scream Queens. Yeah, he just made a lot of shows. About the Shards, I did not know a single thing about this TV show until I saw that it was being created by Ryan Murphy and Bret. So I watched the first 2 episodes, and it was kind of slow paced, but it's a TV show that I knew I want to see through. And when I found out it was a book, girl, I immediately got the audiobook and been reading it, and it's voiced by Bret Easton Ellis, so it's really good. I haven't finished the show and I haven't finished the book, but by reading the book, I can say that there is going to be a lot more to the Shards and to the characters, especially the main character, that I initially thought. I thought that this video would be a easy recap, like this is what happens and then this is what happens, until I realized that there is just so much that happens. And like I said, the show can be so slow at times that you might like lose track or like start zoning out, and you miss something that you didn't think was important, and it comes back and it is important. And this show is a think piece. I feel like at the end of the season, we're going to be coming up with like our own conclusions about how we see things and, you know, different perspectives and stuff like this. I'm not the smartest person, but I did try my best to gather all I got from the TV show and what I gathered from reading the audiobook so far. So yeah, I'm gonna just talk about what I picked up from what I've been seeing. So both the book and the TV show follows Bret Easton Ellis, not the real Bret, but a fictional version of himself. This is like a semi-autobiography using his real name and using the real school that he went to. It follows Bret in his final year of high school, and his life takes a drastic turn when a mysterious new student appears simultaneously while there is a serial killer going around targeting his friends and people in his inner circle called the Trawler. So the TV show starts off in 1980. Bret is going to see The Shining. He loved The Shining book by Stephen King so much that he's read it 3 times, and it inspired him to start writing on his own. He has been looking forward to seeing this movie adaptation for some time, but there is a different reason why this particular summer day in May 1980 stands out to him, and it is because as he sat in his movie theater seat waiting for the movie to start, left to his own devices for 20 minutes, he makes eye contact with this boy. The boy he's just been immediately attracted to. He's very handsome, and just by first glance, Bret wants to be in his life. He wants to befriend him. He wants to know everything there is to know about this mysterious, handsome stranger. However, just making eye contact is like the only type of contact they have at this moment. After The Shining ends, he hates the movie, which I even think Stephen King might have not liked The Shining adaptation, the one with Jack Nicholson in it. I don't think he liked it either, but Brett didn't like it. He goes out of the movie theater, he tries to find the mysterious stranger, but has no luck. There is also a redhead girl there. She was at the movies. She goes home and she calls for her pet Shadow, who she has not been able to find. She goes towards her fish tank, which we can see has been emptied out halfway, and there is no fish in there. Later on, she's in her room and she gets a phone call from someone who doesn't say anything. They're just breathing heavily on the phone. She eventually goes out to hang up missing flyers for her missing pet. And I'ma just say, there is an alarming amount of missing pets that is on bulletin boards. And then after she's done, she goes to her car and she is knocked out from behind and kidnapped by someone wearing all black. Now we go back to Brett. Brett and his fan group, they are rich, California, dreaming high schoolers just having fun before their final year. We have Susan. She is to him described as very beautiful, all-American girl. She's smart, she's funny, she's prom queen, she's student body president. Susan, we will come to find out though, has a questionable relationship with her principal, who's always telling her information you wouldn't think a principal would just, be telling a student. And then we have Tom. Tom is her boyfriend. He is also seen as all-American, handsome, rich, and Brett has a crush on him. He claims to be in love with Susan, saying that she is the most beautiful girl he's ever seen in the love of his life. And I don't think it's really specified that much in the TV show, but in the book he also feels the same way about Tom. He has a crush on him. We have Deborah. Deborah is the girl he is in a relationship with. However, it was not his idea to date Deborah. She was more pursuing him and just wanted to be with him, and so she got him. And it's not like he wasn't attracted to her. It was just like he would have rather it been Susan. He describes her as an experiment. I guess he just wanted to see what it would be like to have a girlfriend. And he's like, in this point in time, while he was dating Deborah, he just wanted to convince himself that he liked girls, or he was still attracted to girls. To me, Deborah stood out before any of the other characters did. She has this striking platinum blonde hair, is inspired by Blondie. She's extremely beautiful, rich. I just like her style. I don't know, it's just something about her that I really liked, and it just caught my eye. Deborah's parents are very influential. Her father is a big time movie producer. What I could gather from what I've seen so far, I would say that Brett has maybe a abnormal attachment to his friends and their personal lives. I feel like Brett has this control issue thing where he just wants to know everything that his friends are doing, what they have going on with their lives. He just want to be involved. And he talks about how he knows when Susan's periods is, even though I don't think she knows he knows that, but just stuff that I wouldn't want if I had a male friend to, be so involved with. I also got that from when he first met the mysterious stranger, because just on first sight, he just wanted to be in that man's life and know everything about him. He even says he wanted to own him in a TV show. And then in a book, I remember him saying something like he would go and write a story where the man would be a character in his story because it is a way to control him. What really surprised me about this TV show is when I saw the poster for the first time, there was no way, I did not have a thought in my mind that these were high schoolers, because for one, very adult grown ass teenagers. But the poster, I don't know, it just gave Gossip Girl when they were in college. They all look grown. And so when I saw that, he was in high school, it kind of took me by surprise because I was not expecting that. And I do think that a show like this, and just from everything I've seen, making them college students would have been a better idea and does nothing to defeat the plot. I digress. So Brett is at one of Deborah's many parties. In the book, he says that Deborah liked to throw parties because she likes the idea of inviting certain people to certain things. So she'll have some people come to one thing and then have other people come to another. So he's at this party and it is this jock there named Ryan, and Brett and Ryan have been sexually active with each other in secret. And Ryan tells him I just don't want to be that with you anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. Later on, Susan is talking to Tom, Brett, and Deborah, and she tells them, she's like, the principal said that we have a new student coming named Robert Mowry. And Brett finds this weird because Robert lives far from their high school and he is eligible to attend a closer school. And so he's like, why is this boy Robert about to inconvenience himself to drive a far distance when he doesn't need to? So it begs the question, like, why? Like, what is so special about this high school? Brett is called in to talk to Deborah's father, Terry, who is the movie producer. And Brett, I wouldn't want to say a fan of Terry, but he is interested in Terry because of who he is. And I do think that is one of the many reasons why he feels like being with Deborah will benefit him. Because, you know, it don't seem like his heart is all the way in talking to Deborah. He's talking to Brett about his high school writing, and suddenly this diva, this handsome, this gorgeous, this beautiful man takes a picture of Brett without his permission. And that is Steven. He works for Terry and the mom. But yes, he's just very, I just love Ryan Murphy. I know Ryan Murphy had something to do with his looks, and I live for it. The unwanted pictures make Brett uncomfortable, and so as he is on his way to Deborah's room, Deborah's mom stopped him and she's drunk. She's upset. She's angry that her husband likes men, and she accuses Terry of basically propositioning Brett for opportunities in exchange for sex. And Brett is like, no, that's not what's happening. And she's like, don't turn your back to me. I've known you since you were 3. And Steven has to come and like get her away. Like, all right, that's enough of that. So before Brett can get to Deborah gets a phone call from someone who just breathes through the phone. And so when Brett gets into the room, she doesn't bring it up, but they do have sex. And this is where I'm like, when are we gonna like kind of slow down on watching teenagers? Yeah, honestly, especially Ryan Murphy. I feel like a lot of time Ryan Murphy makes his characters of age, because you know he's always doing weird shit. I just honestly feel like aging them up would have been better because they're doing coke. Brett later on hooks up with this boy named Matt, and Matt and him have a very complicated relationship. Brett is extremely attracted to Matthew. He doesn't like how Matt is very distant, and Matt does not acknowledge the relationship that they have. He doesn't want to like put any label on it, and so Brett he thinks sometimes that maybe Matt really is not interested in him. And so eventually he just tells Matt, he's like, I don't think me and you should continue our sexual relationship and we should just be friends. After that, Brett notices something weird. In the book, he described it as like something was off. There was like a strange quietness in not Matthew, they call him Matt. There was a strange quietness in Matt's room. And he looks over and guess what he sees? A fish tank half empty. There is no fishes. And so Brett asks, he's like, where are the fish? Matthew is very casual and nonchalant about this whole ordeal. He's just like, I don't know. Brett is like, you don't know why 20 fishes are missing? Do you think your cat did it? And Matthew is like, I guess we'll never know because my cat is missing too. If y'all can remember, the redhead girl, her pet was missing and her fish tank was emptied. And so Brett and Matt, they don't really see it as that. They don't see this as warning signs from a serial killer and a calling card like the killer is coming, the killer is in the house. But I would think I would be a little more alarmed if my whole pet and fish was just missing. But rich people probably have more issues to worry about. Like a pet going missing is not like, yeah, it's whatever. First day of senior year, the body of the redhead girl is found at a tennis court. To me, the picture, when I saw it, it looks like she had been scalped. Her pets was stitched into her skin, and I think her fishes was like jammed into her eyeballs. I can't show you guys, obviously. Then, not only that, senior year, Brett is walking into school and he sees the mascot has been vandalized by bloody vicious. It's just bloody. It was like the killer wanted to degrade the mascot in just very sick ways. He talks about it with his friends while they're eating lunch, and then suddenly the new student comes. It's Robert Mallory, the same boy Brett saw at the movie theater. Robert introduces himself. He's like, hey, what's up guys? I'm Robert. I'm from Chicago and I just recently moved here. So it take a little minute, but Brett eventually asks, he's like, hey, did you go see The Shining at the movie theater? And Robert says, no. Let's take Brett by surprise because he's so sure. He is certain he saw him at the movie theater. And so Brett is like, I most definitely saw you at the movie theater. And Robert swearing up and down, no, you didn't see me. No, you didn't see me. And so, you know, Brett is like, why lie about something like that? Like, you're so shady. Like, that is so weird, you pathological demon. Robert is just like, even if you did see me there, why do you remember me? Did we talk? And Brett tells him like, no, you just left an impression. No hate to the actor, but he has a very untrustworthy face. He has like a punchable runaway face. Like, you punch him and run away. Just from this, it don't take Brett long at all for him to start suspecting Robert. He's like, this man is shady. He is a liar. He cannot be trusted. He is trying to infiltrate my friend group. He is here for a specific reason. He is up to no good. Brett has this kind of possessiveness and control thing he has over his friends and possibly over Robert. You know, he wants to be in his business. He needs to know what he's up to. And then it doesn't make it better that he sees Robert talking to Matt. And, you know, it's like for Robert to be a new student and you're in my friend group and suddenly you're talking to the guy that I secretly do things with. Yeah, it's pretty weird for him. It's just like Brett just knows. He just knows that Robert is up to something. And it leads him to follow Robert in his car. So Robert obviously knows that someone is chasing after him. They get into a high-speed chase and the tables are turned. Now Robert starts following Brett, and so Brett has to hide in order to dust him. Eventually Brett goes into a mall where he sees Robert staring at a tank of fishes. Eventually they start talking to each other and Robert is like, you were following me, weren't you? And that is weird. I do not like being followed. Don't do that. Brett then he asks Robert again. He's like, did you go see The Shining? And again, Robert is lying. And so, you know, that makes Brett leave. He's like, all right, you know what, this guy is cooked. So Robert follows him, and so he asks, he's like, why were you talking to Matt? Robert doesn't answer that, and instead he asks about Susan and Tom. He's like, are Susan and Tom, are they serious? How long have they been with each other? And Brett is like, why? And he's like, because Susan is hot. And again, him asking questions about Brett's friends and trying to get closer to his friends, that's a no for Brett. He's like, oh hell no, I gotta go. He tries to run off. Robert tells him, he's like, when talking to me, it's like you're talking to yourself. Brett goes home and he starts watching the news, and there has been a string of murders inflicted upon women, and there was a woman that was kidnapped and killed, and so it is obvious that there is a serial killer on the loose. There is a pattern of their animals going missing. When the bodies of these women are found, their body is somehow engraved into their skin. Like, there was one where a girl had like her dog stitched to the side of her neck, like, you know, like she had like a second head. It was stitched in her neck, like right here, and she had fish jammed in her eyes. It was sick. And in the book they do describe some of it. Oh my god, I need to finish reading it. But he did say that they would eventually find that they were like, the killer was putting animals inside the women and all that. At the end, Brett gets a phone call, and it is of someone on the other line just screaming and crying and begging for help. And that is how episode 1 ends. I want to say about episode 1, I feel like I might be like one of the only people that believe this, but I do think that it's important for authors to be involved in their adaptation, because from what I watched the TV show first and started reading the book, and it was like almost identical. Same, but I know, like, you know, a lot of shows do that, but I honestly feel like this show and how it was made was how Brett wanted it to be. It was just so like the small details that just stood out to me and made this show interesting. And I just like the idea of authors being able to see their vision come to life, like the $4 movie theater ticket, or him buying just a singular box of Thin Mints. Like, I don't think it was called Thin Mints. No, it was shit, what is that shit called? I don't know. It was like some type of candy, that like box candy that they sell at the movie theaters. But it was just like, wow, important detail like that. I fuck with it. Episode 2, Don't You Want Me? So this episode starts off with the four of them. They're all hanging out, partying together, and Brett, he has been getting extremely paranoid, and he wants them to go inside the house because there has been a string of home invasions. Susan, you know, class president, always getting tea from the principal, she tells the group that the principal tells her Robert Mallory was institutionalized for depression or whatever after the divorce and the death of his mother. And so Brett is already not fucking with Robert, and him hearing that he's crazy, he's like, well, I'm not saying he's crazy, but Brett thinks he's crazy, and he's like, yeah, no, we need to stay away from him. Given Brett's paranoia and like him feeling kind of scared that there is a home invader and all that stuff, the other friends are not taking it as serious. The friends are not taking Brett's disinterest or distrust in Robert serious either, because Susan is like, I am going to throw a party in his honor. Brett is like, why? He's a liar. You know, to lie about something as small as going to see a movie is crazy. It is pathological. We all know, if you have been a true crime junkie, or if you just watch certain stuff, you know that California was a crazy time to live in 80s, 70s, and 60s. You had cult leaders, Charles Manson, you had the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez. It was just crazy. And so in this time, there's been a whole bunch of cults and home invaders and killings terrorizing all of California. There were break-ins happening to where first it was just like break-ins, and then the intruder just got worse and worse, and eventually they started killing people. And so like at the same time, there's a lot to worry about. You have home invaders, you have the Trawler killing people, you have cults. Bitch, move out of California. That is the only answer at this point. And yeah, like, you know, the thought of the killers and stuff, Brett is on edge. He is growing, being more and more paranoid, and it doesn't make it better that he's by himself. His parents are off. You know, rich people just like to leave their kids by themselves, and it's so bad. You know, eventually Brett feels like he doesn't need his parents, even though he's like 17, but he's left to his own devices, he's vulnerable and left alone home, and he can't answer the door without a knife, because he knows, it's just deep down, he knows that this killer that's going around killing people is gonna come after him. Brett goes to an event with Deborah where he runs into Robert, and Robert is very ignorant and gross and lewd. He talks about Susan in a sexual way, saying that he wants to do things to her in the back door and wants to F her. And Robert is doing it because he's an asshole. It's like Robert knows things about Brett that he knows will get under his skin, and so he's doing whatever he can to do that. Brett goes to Matt's house, and Matt tells him, he's like, stop calling me. And Brett is like, what are you talking about? He's like, you've been calling me nonstop. It's very alarming. And Brett is like, no, I haven't. He then accuses Brett of being the one to empty his fish and steal his cat. And he's like, you wrote a bloody pentagram on my foreigner poster. And Brett is like, no, I didn't. As an audience, we all know that this is a calling card for the serial killer, but he is accusing Brett. He then is like, have you been telling Robert things about me? Because Robert has been asking like very specific personal questions, like questions you would need to know certain things to even think of. And Brett also is paranoid that maybe Matt is telling him things about himself. And so Brett is like, No, I think you just smoke too much. I think you're drugged out. And I think that you're telling Robert things about me and forgetting. And so you think it's a mystery that Robert knows things about me, but you're really the one telling him, and you're so drugged out you don't know what you're talking about. Their relationship is fucked. And after that, Brett goes to lunch with Terry, Deborah's father, and this is pretty weird to me because I get a really bad vibes from Terry. It seems from watching this dialogue that Terry eventually wants something from Brett that is not okay. He knows that Brett likes guys, and so he accuses him of sleeping with Tom or wanting to sleep with Tom, and that makes Brett uncomfortable. And Terry's like, I want to help with your story, the book you're writing. I want to help produce something maybe, and let's have an arrangement. But it seems like that Terry wants something from Brett. Terry is giving Predator that wants to exploit Brett. So then eventually Susan tells the friend group, she's like, Matt has been missing for 5 days. His parents have not seen him for a while. And like I said, all of this stuff is happening around Brett. Brett is getting paranoid more and more, and this is not helping. And soon after, they end up finding a backpack that belonged to Matt. So Brett knows, he's like, the trawler took Matt. When he gets home, there is a cassette waiting for him. It is an audio recording of Matt being tortured, and he's like screaming and stuff, and the trawler is antagonizing him. We see that the trawler injects him with like LSD, and after hearing this, Brett throws up. And this is the Shards episode 1 and 2. Okay, you guys might hear my dog. I just want to say one thing. As I finished editing this video, I started reading. I finished chapter 7 of the Shards, and it wasn't until then I realized how I glossed over certain situations that I regret doing. And it's not my fault. It's because the TV show is flying past the book so fast that I wasn't able to develop or I wasn't able to come to the conclusion of like certain situations and how important they are supposed to be. So in part 2, I will do a small revision of episode 1 and 2, a little of the things I feel like needs to be more explained. So yes, thank you guys for watching.